Psychologists have known for some time that we have two operating systems for processing information within the brain, working at the same time but doing very different things with the same information: the conscious and the unconscious. The conscious is part of our new brain, developed fairly recently. This is where most of the clever thinking goes on: problem solving, decision making. It is slow in operation, taking several seconds to process even basic information and to make decisions. It is very limited in processing power, just 8 bits of information at any one time, and it is driven by taught rules about how to do things and how to think. It relies on logically processing data. We believe that it is in control because in our lives we see all of the achievements of the conscious: technology, civil society, agriculture. The list goes on. The unconscious, on the other hand, is rarely seen working. It runs constantly and effortlessly in the background, handling all of our routine information processing, a sort of autopilot. Instead of being slow and data-driven, it is incredibly fact and intuitively driven. It is a processing method needed by our ancestors to make rapid survival decisions. Brain scan evidence shows it processes information in people in as little as 30 milliseconds, 10 times faster than our eyes can even process the person's face. It has much more processing power than the conscious, 200,000 times more. Psychologists say that what the brain fires together, it wires together. In other words, when it often sees two things occurring together, like women with children or women receptionists, it creates a strong neural connection in the brain, which it can use in the future. For example, when it sees women, it thinks children, and when it thinks children, it makes the connection to women. This is very convenient for the brain. It prevents it having to use the conscious to think about every new person or situation as unique. The brain makes these neural connections from the patterns we see in our lives, but also from the media we absorb and what the people we care about say, as well as our upbringing. Once wired, they are hard to unwire, and we can use them automatically and without knowing it. It is our caveman or cavewoman brain. Let me put things into perspective. If the processing power of the conscious was the size of a table tennis ball, the processing power of the unconscious is a table tennis ball 200,000 times larger, or 2.4 meters across. When the small conscious table tennis ball is busy or overwhelmed, which it often is, the unconscious takes over routine people decisions using its neural pathways based on previous patterns. The next bit is important. Our unconscious creates super fast connections between groups of people: old, young, black, white, with tattoos, wearing funny t-shirts, having a particular accent, from a particular area or country, educated at a particular school or university, and good or bad ideas the psychologists call constructs. These super fast links are used to make rapid people judgments below the level of our subconscious. The conscious thinks it is in control, but the unconscious calls the shots and leaves the conscious to believe it is in control by rationalizing decisions the unconscious has already made. These super fast people decisions are useful in making our lives run smoothly. Most of the time they are good enough, and our ancestors avoided the saber-toothed tiger or lion. But these days our people decisions result in real impacts on the lives of real people. Who gets the job? Who gets the most rewarding work? Who gets the best pay or bonus? And who gets promoted or fired? We tend to wire more positive connections for people who are like us, who look like us, sound like us, share our background, culture, and interests. That leaves people who are less like us not being treated as positively. Don't get me wrong, often these more positive wirings for people who are like us does not lead to obvious negative behavior towards people not like us. But they experience what the psychologists call micro-behaviors, small bits of behavior which, over time, make them feel less like they belong or are valued, like acid rain that wears you down over time. It leads to us recruiting and supporting people who are more like us. We don't do it on purpose. We don't have a tick list reminding us to give slightly better treatment to people like us, but our unconscious leads us to do that unless we are careful. The bottom line is that we trust people for whom we have unintentionally wired positive connections. We give them jobs, give them the best work, allocate them to our teams, and say the right things about them when it matters. This doesn't make us a bad person. It makes us human, but when we make important decisions about people, we need to take extra care. If you are now asking, what can I do about it? You should watch our animated session, where we offer some ideas, sometimes slightly weird ideas, on mitigating unconscious bias. Or watch our whiteboard animation on recruiting and how unconscious bias drives our decisions about who we employ. You can contact Dr. Pete by email, phone, and by Twitter.